All right. We are live on YouTube. We're going to be talking to you guys here in a second. There's a weird loop happening. I got to fix it, so we're going to drop the intro one time. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are doing a special edition of our Zoom call on Patreon. I got the Zoom Patreon gang in the house. My name is Ruslan. I'm a hip-hop artist, creative entrepreneur, and I am excited to be talking to all you guys here today. We're going to be talking about booking your own tours, booking your own shows, proper single rollouts, and a bunch of other stuff. So before we get into it, can I, everybody in the Patreon call, just unmute yourself one at a time. Introduce yourself. I'm going to turn on the air conditioning because it's hot here. But y'all introduce yourself to the people real quick.
Ladies first.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Hey, what up? I'm Shannon. I go on Instagram by Colony of Light. I'm currently promoting shows in the SoCal area, willing to travel between LA all the way to San Diego, trying to get some shows popping out here, trying to put CHH on the map, looking at Atlanta, trying to bring some of that Atlanta vibe out here to the SoCal area. That's what I'm on.
Let's go. Conscious, you can go next.
What up, y'all? I'm M Brown, aka Conscience, at Conscience Hip Hop. I'm a hip hop artist / creative, and been in the game for a minute. Looking to politic with y'all and bring some value to the community. Love doing this type of stuff.
All right, keep it moving. Who's next? Jay Shannon.
Yeah, my name is Jay Sannon. I'm a rapper,
Sannon,
producer.
Excuse me, my bad, bro. Not Shannon, Sannon.
Yeah, I'm Jay Sannon. You can find me on all socials at Jay Sannon, JAYSANON. Rapper, producer, songwriter from Miami, Florida. And I do some hippity hoppity for Jesus.
Let's go. It's on you, champ. Go for it. LJ.
Yo, what up? My name LJ. Originally from Indianapolis, now in small town Muncie. Hip hop artist, you know what I'm saying? Do for three things: faith, hope, and love through the craft. Right now, doing a small house show tour. Got about 5 spots just around the Midwest. So just looking to learn a little bit more, soak up what I can. Hopefully, get something back. So, yeah.
I love it. Sean? Sean, where you at, Sean? Seth, Sean, feel free to jump in, guys. Don't be shy.
May have went on a restroom break.
All right, well, let's just get right into it. Israel, what's up, Israel? You want to introduce yourself real quick? Israel disappeared, too. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
There you are.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, bro? Introduce yourself.
I'm Israel Perez from Milwaukee, but I'm staying in Atlanta, Georgia right now. So.
Let's go. All right, well, let's get right into it. Conscious, you want to kick your question off about shows?
I'm looking on the list right now. Is that question one?
I don't know. I think it is.
Well, I'll just roll through from the top. So my first question was about the single rollout.
Yeah, let's come back to that.
Okay. Next question was I'll just read it out. So since you've been in the indie scene for quite a long time, what recently have been some staple non-negotiable tasks that you use to increase your exposure online? And I'm not really asking what content or creative content types do this, but more so what marketing practices are like crucial to your overall plan for, on the marketing side for opening up exposure.
Hold on, let me look it up. I could have swore you had a question about touring. That's really what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, I had the questions on touring.
Aha. Okay, Conscious, we're going to come back to you. We're going to have LJ ask that first because
that's good.
He's new. My bad, bro. I got confused. All right, go for it, LJ.
Yeah. So my main question was, like I said, we started off doing this house show tour, about 5 stars right now. And one of the things that's been good is places we already been and we from. We can get a decent amount and pretty much sell out online. But what I wanted to do is the goal for this one was like have 50 people at each stop that we go to. And so really like I've been able to hear some of the strategies you talked about, like as far as like setting down, making a list of names, inviting people out. But what are some other things that you may utilize to get 50 people out anywhere you go? We got this one place we going in DC. I don't really know nobody out there, but I had a mutual connection, and so I figured just try just different strategies that we've done before. But yeah, just overall, what's some things that you do if it's a place you're not sure about, or you just right, I don't want to lose out on profit on that. So
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me just give you guys some context. LJ, first of all, shout out to you for already doing your own shows, and you know what I'm saying. Even if they're house shows, like that's so good. And that's fantastic that you're already doing that super early. I'll give you guys some context based on a tweet from somebody that's an artist that's been around for a while, right? And I retweeted this. And this is an artist named Heath McNeese. He's been around for 15, 20 years. I've known him for a while. He says, I've played in front of 20,000 several times, but they weren't there for me. I can't sell. He said he just wants to get to a place of selling 200 to 250 tickets in all of his major cities. And that's like his big goal, right? And so the fact that you're starting out and you're saying, yo, I want to do 50 tickets in each city is great. The issue that most people run into, and this is huge in the Christian hip hop space, is that hard ticket versus soft ticket. LJ, have you ever heard hard ticket versus soft ticket?
not a soft ticket, no.
Okay, so a soft ticket is when you're at a festival, you're at a church, you're at a conference, you're at a whatever, meaning that they're people that have paid that aren't there to see you. They're just there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in Christian hip hop or in Christian music in general, the soft ticket game is crazy, right? Because most people are just excited to be in front of people, and they think that those people are there to see them. Your brain does that, like it tricks you into that, right? So you're like, oh man, like I'm in front of 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people, right? And I think I'm popping now because who else is in front of 5,000 people, right? You trick yourself into it, and the truth is, a soft ticket draw doesn't build an actual career, like because you can finesse your way into doing a bunch of shows. You can finesse your way into just being friends with the right people and the promoters and all these different things, and never get to a place of developing depth and connection with people, right? And that's what it really comes down to. All of this music, all of marketing, it really comes down to depth and connection to build depth, right? A genuine relationship with your audience so that they're invested in what you're doing, and you're not just another rapper at a thing that they're already at that they see, and you're also not just another rapper on a playlist that they're already listening to, and therefore they'll listen to your record, but they don't ever turn around and follow you on Spotify, follow you on Instagram, or subscribe to your YouTube, right? So that's called width. That is where a lot of people are at with their. They're not selling tickets. No one actually pays money for them. They pay money to be at wherever they're already at, right? Does that make sense? So that's what a soft ticket is, right? Do me a favor and mute yourself, guys. And so what happens is a lot of people end up learning how to finesse, learning how to talk to people, learning how to be friends with the promoter, learning how to be friends with a more poppin' band. And they finesse their way to a place where they're doing shows regularly, and they're friends with all the youth pastors, and they got all the relationships. But and they let those numbers of kids, they're in front of 500 kids, 1,000 kids, they make it all the way up to some big outreach crusade where there's 20,000 people there for some festival that the gospel is going to be preached at. And then they become disillusioned and think that those people are there and that there's actually upward trajectory for their career path. But their career is really hinging on all these relationships and all the finesse, not on actual connection with people. Now, if you have great connection with people, and you're put in front of these different situations, you can win over fans, but it's not guaranteed, right? And so that's the difference between a hard ticket and a soft ticket draw. And I've seen countless people go through their careers a decade in, 15 years in, and then discover 15 years in, I can't sell 50 tickets in my top markets. The fact that you're asking this question now, LJ, early on in your career is amazing. You're asking the right question. How do I sell 50 tickets? That's it, right? Like, how do I start there? And so yeah, man. So in terms of that, I would say connection with your audience, like making music that has depth and not just width. Everybody has a whippersnapper, turn up for Jesus record, turn up, right? Everybody got a record like that. Everybody could turn up for Jesus. Everybody got the record that can go, that can play at the youth group, right? That's not how you sell tickets. That might be how you get booked for more festivals and more conferences. You know what I mean? That might be how you get more youth group shows, but that's not how you sell more tickets. So if we look at the landscape right now, you know, somebody who's selling tickets, who has no booking representation, who has no management, even though they're on a major, one of the major Christian labels, is What Up RG. What Up RG does not have a booking agency behind him. There's nobody picking up the phone and booking him at the festivals or the conferences. There's nobody picking up the phone and getting him into the House of Blues or whatever big venue, right? There's nobody picking up the phone and doing that for him. He has no manager. He has no booking agent. And so, but what he did is he said, instead of going and hitting the festival circuit or the youth group circuit, I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to go out and do my own hard tickets. But what is different about What Up RG's music? What Up RG's music is it has depth. He's speaking to a very specific type of audience. He has the big songs with the drip and the flashy flow or whatever, but he's talking about a story as a son of an immigrant, of his dad getting deported. He's telling stories that, first of all, a very specific demographic of people that could attend. And I played the show with him in LA. So when in LA, it was like a lot of Hispanic and Latino people. You know what I'm saying? That was because that's the music he makes. And then he also has songs that he's willing to go into a place emotionally that it's also just going to attract other people that relate and feel him emotionally. So that's what I think, to me, is what it comes down to: connection. Do people feel you? Are you adding value to somebody? Are you telling stories that are relatable? Or are you just a guy with a hot record that got playlisted? You know what I'm saying? And you might be able to sell a couple tickets that way, but that's not how you build a sustainable career. So I think What Up RG is a great example of that. Willing to put his own bread up, willing to put his own money up, and go out there and say, hey, I'm going to go and tour. I'm not going to wait for fill in the blank agency to book me up. I'm just going to go get with my homegirl. She's going to help me get some venues together. And they just went and pieced together all their own shows, man. And so I think, how do you get to 50 tickets? You have to make music that people want to support. Like that, it is really about that. Like, it really is about that. And I was having another conversation with an artist, and they were like, man, I just can't seem to get tickets, and I can't book any shows. And it's like, yo, that you're overlooking the main thing. The main thing is the music, right? The main thing is the music. Start with the music. And then what I would do is what you guys are doing, LJ. Throw your own shows. Throw your own shows. You're throwing your own shows. That's fantastic. Keep doing that. Then I would look at the analytics of the shows. Look at the analytics of the shows and say, who is listening and where. Look at your Instagram analytics. Look at your Spotify analytics. Look at your Apple Music analytics. Where are your top 5 cities, right? And then figure out a way to pull up to those cities and throw your own show there. You know, you guys, clearly you don't have an issue with playing houses. I probably wouldn't play house shows, but you're in a different spot than I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need a stage, I need a sound system, I need it to feel like a show, right? But you guys are in a spot where, like, you're willing to play house churches. Dope. House shows. Dope. Keep doing that. And I can get into doing more of like how to do the soft ticket stuff and how to get your foot in the door to build more soft ticket stuff. But as a foundation, I would say make music that people relate to and connect to in a very deep way. Does that answer the question?
Oh, yeah. So you would say focus more so on the marketing aspect of getting your music out? Because what I'm thinking is, so we end up bringing all our sound equipment and the whole 9 out too.
Yep.
And one of the things that help and I think it's seen thing you did one time. You had like an open mic.
Yep.
That was that helpful in bringing people out. So we had an opener for our show in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Then since all of us on our team was from the city too, we just had people just invite they folk out.
Yeah.
And then on top of having the host invite people out. So
yeah, so here's what I would say. Don't just invite people out, right? Anybody that does anything on any one of my shows, they need to add value. Right? If I'm putting up the bread to get the sound system, I'm putting up the bread to get the venue or whatever, like you're not just gonna pull up to my show, rock my show in front of my audience and not add any value, right? So they have to sell tickets. They have to sell tickets. And it's not in a mean, oppressive way where they can't make money. No, I set it up in a way, usually it goes something like this. Hey, cool, you wanna do this show? How many tickets do you think you could sell in this city? Oh, I think I could sell 25 tickets. Okay, great. Here's 40 tickets, sell 25. The 25 you sell is going to go towards the show, and anything you sell over that, you keep the money from. So they can sell, and I've had people sell 50, 60, 70, 80 tickets in this type of model, right? So I'm booking the show. I have some fans there, and I know I'm going to get about 50 people in a city or 100 people in a city. There's fans there that are proven based on my analytics, right? And then I said, okay, great. Now you can do a set, a 10-minute set, a 15-minute set. I need you to go and sell some tickets. And when I've done this model, instead of just letting the homie open up or some dope artist is in the city who's good, whenever I've made them have some skin in the game, they always end up selling more tickets than they thought they can sell. They always end up making money. They always end up doing great in merchandising. They always end up doing way better, and the show is way better. So that's how, like, me, Foggy, a couple other people, we did a show in New York, 2017. We ended up having like 250 people in New York. You know what I mean? Because we had 3 or 4 openers that all sold 25, 30 tickets. Some of them sold 50 tickets. And then we had our fans in New York. And then we just combined fans. And everybody walked away that night with more fans. And everybody walked away that night with a gang of merchandise sold. And so it's way more fun playing a show for 250 people. And we all own the work than me playing a show in front of my 100 fans and fill in the blank local rapper asking to open up. You know what I'm saying? And adding no value to the show because he feels like he's entitled to open up. Like, I don't do the entitlement thing. Like, you need to work. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah.
So they keep the all percentage after those base 25 tickets?
Yeah, whatever the agreement is. Like, whatever the agreement is.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because
I let them name the number. How many tickets do you think you can sell? If they say 10, I say, I think you can sell way more than 10. You know what I'm saying? 25 is usually my base. How many tickets do you think you could sell?
25 the base.
My base.
Okay.
That's my base. Your base might be different. You know what I'm saying?
We did like 20 per opener, and then we let them keep like 20% of it.
Yeah, so I would say they say 20, right? Give them 40. I need the money for these first 20. You get to keep the money for the next 20.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Now they have some incentive. Now they're going to go and sell however many tickets, right? Say they sell all 40 tickets at $10 a pop. You made $200. They made $200. Right? So they're excited about that.
Yeah.
Can I jump in on this?
Yeah.
I just want to say a couple of other quick things to think about. I think there's a lot of really good books on the live performance itself and just kind of structuring an experience. And I think that's one of the quickest ways to sell tickets for a show is you should really look at what your live performance looks like and what ways you interact and what nuances of your performance are different from other artists. And I think you should really film like a compilation of clips from, as you're doing performances and then market that so people can see up front, the type of value they would get in coming and just kind of build a movie. When I went to the Holy Saint tour with Paris and What Up RG just a couple of weeks ago. And they're really good at marketing a kind of movie experience for people going. And I think that drew a lot of attention as well. So, building that movie like experience up front and showcasing that to people and building on that, I think would be really good. Another thing I think is really effective is if you're working with other artists prior to the show rollout, interact on different social media platforms with the other artists' audiences to bring value to them and show them that you're interested and make it personal to you so that you can get more fans as well. And then also finding ways to connect with other artists' audiences off social, seeing what they're doing to interact with their community to build their own ticket sales, and then incorporating that into your practice as well. But I think, really working on having a really dynamic show. I don't go to a lot of shows, but the shows I do go to because I've seen clips, or I'll go to a piece of their show, or somebody tells me, hey, this show is dope. So I think if you really just focus on your live performance and the different things you can do in that to stand out, and be personal and bring depth, and then you capture that in different media types, that's like the number one way to sell a ticket, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
No,
That's so good.
Do you have any of those books that you just named?
Yeah. I have one or two that are kind of my go-tos, and I'll get the titles to you after the stream.
All right, bet it up. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think documenting the show or your previous shows, even if it's just iPhone footage, right? Like, obviously, the better the footage, the better, the engagement is going to be. But yeah, documenting the shows, making vlogs of past shows, using trailers to highlight shows. I think all that stuff is great. But if you're just base level starting, it's going to be more person to person, mouth to mouth, word to word, person to person, word of mouth, trying to reach as many people as possible. And I think that is going to be the base. And then, everything Conscious said, document the shows, put together trailers, promote the trailers, make people look like they're coming to an experience, what does that all go back to? The music, right? So you could be, you could think you're super dope, but if you don't have a great set, you don't have a great show, it doesn't really make a difference. You know what I mean? And so that goes back to the music. Are people going to experience something special with you that night, or is it just going to be another rap show? And so I think that is the format you have to look through. Shannon, did you have a question? Or follow-up?
Yeah, so I'm not an artist. So the information that you guys are talking about is really good. But since I'm not an artist, I wanted to know, do you feel like it's controversial or too much to ask the artists that I would like to book, or I'm thinking about booking, for their analytics? Because I don't have that. And I don't want to invest my money in somebody, like you said, that can't get 50 people to a show. So if they can't get 50 people to a show on their own, but they want, honorarium, travel, and all this kind of stuff from me, like, I want to know, like, I'm going to do my work, of course, because I'm the person promoting it and booking it, but I want to, like, is that okay to ask them for the analytics, or what's the best way for me to go about that? Because I'm not the artist and I don't have access to that.
That's a great question. So one, you could look at some of that stuff just on Spotify. If Spotify would show you people's top cities right on the app, like where the monthly listeners are coming from. Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up here.
Are you the man? Look, I don't know where that is.
Yes. It's only on a desktop though.
Yeah, it's only on a desktop.
Only on desktop?
It's only on a desktop. Yeah.
That's what's up.
So Spotify, if you go to an artist, you could see what cities, it breaks down their monthly listeners, so you could see exactly what cities they're popping in. And then you could absolutely ask. Heck yeah, you can ask. You know what I mean? Hey, I need to see your top markets. Send me a screenshot of your Instagram audiences. Show me your top 5 cities on Instagram. I would look at Spotify first and see if the city if they're coming to Los Angeles, is Los Angeles in their top 5. That'll give you some gauge. And then I would say, then after that, I would say, okay, now let me look at your Instagram analytics. What tour history do you have here? Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any openers you would recommend that could sell some tickets? Yeah, I mean, I would be a sober spot. Again, Shannon, we've operated in such a weird space of just CHH artists kind of finessing promoters for so long. You know what I'm saying? Asking for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 honorariums and not having the wherewithal to draw that, to draw anything near that, And so I think that's slowly shifting, I think, That's slowly shifting. And so, yes, I would ask for that. I would say, hey, I got to look at these numbers, do your own research, and see, just based on their Spotify numbers. And then, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So LJ, I think the house show stuff is dope. I think you guys putting in the work is gonna be the part that makes that moves the needle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can rap. Clearly, you can rap. You know what I'm saying? What is going to distinguish you from everybody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is going to distinguish you as an artist from everybody else? Like, what is the elevator pitch? Have you ever heard of an elevator pitch?
Yeah.
So, like, you're 20 seconds in an elevator. What's the pitch for your brand? I'm asking you right now.
I say I get faith, hope, and love through hip hop music.
Okay. You told me what you do, but you didn't tell me who you are.
That's good. I might have to work on that then.
Yeah. So you got to find something unique from your childhood, maybe from where you grew up, right? Something that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like faith, hope, and love through hip hop music. That's beautiful. But I can name you 25 different artists that do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what makes you different than a Klesso, 1K Few, Tadashi? You know what I'm saying? Like, what makes you different from all those guys? You know what I'm saying? I can tell you, like, my elevator pitch is I encourage, empower, inspire people to live God's dream for their life. I'm an immigrant originally from the former Soviet Union who came here as a kid. My dad wasn't in a picture, and I met God, and through hip hop music, I've been able to encourage, empower, inspire people to live God's dream for their life. And so when I say that, that's setting a precedent. One, here's my story, and then two, you're not just getting a rap show with me. There's going to be some speaking involved. There's going to be some inspiration involved. There's going to be some information involved, some empowerment, some edutainment. Like, there's going to be a lot when you're booking me, it's not just a typical show, So like, you have to dig a little deeper and figure out, like, what is your elevator pitch? And then to go deeper, are you reflecting the values of your elevator pitch in your music? Right? So does your music just sound generic and turn up, and you know what I mean? Because a lot of music today sounds the same, which is easy to get playlisted. It's easy to get more passive listeners. But again, we're talking passive listeners versus actual fans. We're talking about soft tickets versus hard tickets, right? I tell you right now, there are so many artists, man, that their highlight reel is crazy, and their Spotify numbers are booming, and their Instagram is lit, but they can't sell no tickets. They can't sell no albums. You know what I'm saying? They can't make any money because it's more passive listeners. It's more people that aren't engaged. So you go deep. You got to go deep with people. You got to tell people. You got to tell people who you really are, and take whatever facade or whatever thing you're maybe hiding a little bit behind, right? Which we all do to some extent, right? You got to figure out how do you tell your story as authentically as possible, and approach it like a business. Approach it like a business. Approach it like a YouTuber. Approach it like a clothing brand, right? I would do that. So, do you guys have any? Where can we go from this? Conscious, did you have anything you want to add to this, or Shannon?
Yeah, I think LJ, and there's a lot of things to consider, and like kind of everything we've broken down. But I think the easiest way to start is take that one-liner that you had, and I'm interested, and I'm kind of just speaking for an audience. I'm interested in how you got to that one-liner. So just work backwards. What things in your life shaped how you got to that faith, love, and whatever banner that you're now trying to broadcast to people, and find a way to summarize that into an elevator pitch. This happened to me. I grew up like this, or I've really been interested in that. And from all that, I had a couple of moments of this and that, and now here's why I do it. And then you give that one-liner. I think it's as easy as that. And I'm sure that you have key moments in your life that were defining eye-opener things that led you to have a one-liner like that. And I think that approaching it that way, it'll always kind of change, and you'll add ways to make that sound more cool or interesting. But I think that's a great start.
And LJ, this kind of segues into what your second question was, which was vulnerable but not intimate, right? Like, how can you be vulnerable but not intimate, right? So that was
that's my third, but yeah, that's cool. We hop on that.
Okay, yeah. So this is a natural segue to go into that. So the vulnerable but not intimate is more of a practice for social media, right? Meaning that like here's a great example. If I'm going to therapy for the first time or the second time or third time, I'm not walking out of therapy and putting on social media what I learned from therapy, right? but how many people live their life that way? Like, how many people tell you exactly what's going on social media, right? That's too intimate.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen baby mothers and baby fathers argue publicly on social media. Like, just
that thing awkward.
yeah,
awkward.
and everybody's watching. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people talk about like, oh, I'm so depressed, da 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 da, right? Like very, very intimate things. So I think in your art as well, the vulnerability has to be there. You have to be vulnerable. The intimacy is like, if I write a song today about going to therapy, it's probably not going to come out for a few months, and then I'm probably going to go to the editing process and maybe change a couple things, right? But like, if I put something on social media today about what I learned from therapy today, that's already out to the world, right? So I got to be vulnerable and not intimate. So I got to tell you stuff that I've gone through and but I'm not going to tell you whatever thing I'm dealing with my close family right now in this moment. That might make it into a song that comes out, right? So there has to be, I think, a level of just guarding your own heart and having boundaries. You know what I'm saying? In that. And so, but being vulnerable is how you build that depth. You know what I'm saying? Being vulnerable is how you build that depth. Being what Kansha said, how you got to those words. I'm sure there was something in your experience with music that maybe it, made you feel like your music is supposed to be different. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe there was some music that you heard that empowered you, that therefore you want to do something else. You want to do the same thing for somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that.
Okay. Where do you guys want to go from here? We can stay on this topic for a while. Here, let me give you guys some quick tips on how to book shows. Booking shows, booking tours. Okay, tours. We call them anchor dates. Right? So LJ, say you and Shannon connect. Shannon looks at your analytics. You got some fans in LA. Shannon is gonna fly you out to LA. She ain't gonna pay you because you ain't worth $1,000 in LA yet, but she's willing to fly you out for $300. That's not a shot at you. That's me being realistic, right?
I know how it is right now.
Right. So she's like, yo, you know what? You got some Spotify listeners. LA is your top 5 city on Instagram. Boom, I'm finna fly you out. Now you flown out to LA, right? Now what you got to do is you say, I'm already in LA, and you have her book your flight and give you a week of margin, right? So now you say, cool, I'm in LA. While I'm here, can I reach out to somebody from San Diego, because San Diego is only 90 minutes away, and see if I can go get into something in San Diego. Maybe I'm not going to do a ticketed show, but maybe I will find an open mic, or I will find a youth group, right? So now you got the anchor date. Boom. Now you're going to piggyback and go and hit up an open mic or youth group or something like that, right? Then you say, okay, cool. What else is driving? Oh, Bakersfield. The homie True Sound from Entertainment, he throws shows in Bakersfield. Let me track him down and say, hey, Shannon, who I know you've worked with, booked me for a show out here in LA. She's flying me out. Now you're establishing a bit of credibility. Is there anything you got going on? I'd love to just pull up and throw a show. Can we throw a show? Look, I'm not even really trying to be paid. Like, if you can cover my hotel, cool. You know what I'm saying? Boom. And you drive over to Bakersfield, right? And I'll tell you guys a personal story about how I actually did all this. Boom, you go to Bakersfield. What else is Phoenix is 4 or 5 hours away. What's going on in Phoenix? You know what I'm saying? Boom. Now you potentially hit an open mic or a youth group or something in Phoenix, and you've just done 4 shows with one anchor. And if you got merchandise and you know how to talk to people, you could potentially pull 4 shows out of one show. It's not going to be financially lucrative yet, right? But it'll be beneficial. So we call them anchor dates, right? Anchor dates. So I'll give you guys a personal story. So, and this is a website that if you are not a Christian hip hop artist and that is not in your branding, which we can get into later, I've never put that in my branding. That's never been in my bio. I've always caught a lot of flack for that because I don't have no problem with being called a Christian rapper, but you're not going to go on my website or read in my bio, Christian hip hop artist, right? If you're not in that world, there's a website called Sonic Bids. Sonic Bids is a listing of different venues and promoters who are looking for artists to come and do events, soft ticket events. So there's colleges, there's festivals, there's all kinds of stuff. They're probably not going to book Christian rappers. I'm sorry to break it to you, right? It's just probably not going to happen. But they'll book a positive hip hop artist. So guess what I branded myself? A positive hip hop artist. You know what I'm saying? And so I hopped on Sonic Bids. Boom, I saw a college on there, Smith College, all women's school in the middle of Massachusetts, looking for some artists to come out and perform. I was like, all right, boom. I had my EPK. I did what Conscious said. I had my EPK. I had my video. I had my performance footage. I told my story well. I knew it would distinguish me. This is the year is 2008-ish. No, 2007. It's 2007. Goodness gracious. It's over a decade ago. Boom. I submit to this show through this website called Sonic Bids, which Seti just put in the chat. Thank you, Seti. I booked the show. First show booked, $2,500. Come on, somebody, $2,500. This is 2007. I got $2,500 coming in from a college. Now here's the catch, though. I got to book my own flights. They're not giving me a deposit. I just gotta trust them. So boom, I gotta scrape together the $2,500 to book my own flights, book my own hotels. Boom, I pull up. The show is lit. Like, it's like 300 women in an auditorium turning up to the breaks. Like, it was dope, right? It was super dope. Now, here's what I did. I said, all right, cool. What else is going on? Oh, I got the homie from Philly. Okay, what's going on in Philly? Oh, there's a youth pastor who paid us $70. I got paid $70 to drive from Massachusetts to Philadelphia to go do a show at a youth group. Got that show. The same day, Reach Records, Cross Movement, Lecrae, they all had like a festival going on right outside of Epiphany Church. Now, we weren't playing at that because those guys didn't know us at the time, but we pulled up to the festival just to hang out. We met R. Swift that day, who I'm still friends with. Belief and Belief took a picture with Lecrae and Trip Lee way back then. I was too cool. I didn't want a picture with those guys. You know what I'm saying? And like, we met those dudes in 2007 because we said, all right, cool, we're already out here. They got something going on. We're gonna pull up to their event and just hang out and show our face. And sure enough, we hung out with Cortland. He went by JR at the time. We ended up just being in the mix, right? That was important for us. And then we did a show Sunday morning in Washington D.C. Some little small storefront church booked us for a show. I don't even know how. I don't even remember how I booked this show, but it was I knew somebody who knew somebody, and we ended up playing at a church Sunday morning. We were like the worship part. They didn't do worship. They had us perform. A little small like black church. And it was dope. And we ended up doing like $700 in merch that day because those smaller shows, if you kill it, everybody will buy a piece of merch. You know what I'm saying? And we smashed it. I'm trying to think what else we did. And I think we like went and did an interview with Wado in Newark. Like on our way back, we like hit Newark and did an interview. And so that's how we did it. Like we would do stuff like that. And then eventually that person that sees you at the thing over here, that saw you at the thing here, some of those people will stay with you. And a decade later, I still have fans that were like, yo, I saw you at such and such. You know what I'm saying? Year later, 2 years later, we rebooked the same college. I pulled up. I did a show in Staten Island, my first show in New York. I met Words Played, you know what I'm saying, in New York. I also did a show at Christ Tabernacle, Misfit NYC. Met Andy Mineo and Ray Rock before Andy Mineo was Andy Mineo. He was going by C-Light. It's like a month before he got signed to Reach Records, right? This is how you build these relationships. And it's not necessarily about like, I need favors, do a favor for me. It's just like, yo, we're just homies. Like, I think Andy appeared on a Breaks mixtape like 9 years ago. We've never even done a record like that. We're just homies. You know what I'm saying? Like I was teasing him on Twitter the other day about Tekashi 6ix9ine saying that he too is a member of the 9 Trey Bloods. You know what I'm saying? And we just like we'll troll each other. Like we're homies like that. And so I think relationships and just being friendly is super important. So that is how you do the touring thing early on. Have an anchor date and just piece together small stuff with built-in audiences. Because I'm not pooping on built-in audiences. I'm not saying don't ever do stuff with built-in audiences. You need to do stuff with built-in audiences. But you get booked as some big youth group and there's 1,000 people there, your flesh is going to become disillusioned, and something in your brain is going to be like, these people are here for me. These people are here for me. And you're going to get puffed up and you're going to get arrogant, right? Or a lot of people are going to get arrogant. We knew this don't mean nothing. Like these folks ain't here for us. They're here because they're a part of the youth ministry. They're here because they're a part of, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you just have to be careful with guarding your own heart that once you get some of that favor, or you will become disillusioned like a lot of artists who was popping 10 years ago, and they were in front of 20,000 people, they were in front of 10,000 people, they were hitting all the youth groups, all the churches, and now they're wishing to sell 50 tickets like you at a house show. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how you finesse Sonic Bids. Is a great resource. I feel like I remember you guys on this tour. Yeah, Nato, you remember. Yeah, Nato's been with us for a long time. And so Nato is one of those brothers that's been around forever. And this is how we would do it, man. There was one time, like, we had a show with Braille, and we booked a show in L.A., and I think Braille got like $500, but it was enough to pay for gas. And then we turned around, we booked a show in Sacramento, and you know what I'm saying? We drove up, and like we would just piece these things together in a way that made sense. And because we always had merch, we knew we weren't going to come back in the red. We would come back with either had broken even or with a little bit of money. You know what I'm saying? And so,
yeah, I say, and if I could chime in, even at like if it's been a house show, wasn't as many people, they usually do end up buying a lot of merch just because it's less. It just seemed like that more support come out. And just getting into those built-in audiences, we didn't starting up this tour till about last year. So it's just now trying to get the foot up in the door, see how things go. So no, it's definitely helpful though.
Yeah, man. And like again, like look at those numbers, bro. We didn't have analytics back then. We had no idea where our fans were. You know what I'm saying? We had no idea where our fans were. So look at those numbers. If you got the audience, RG like launched Superphone. Like he launched a Superphone. He asked everybody from Atlanta to text him. That's how he threw his first show. He had all the contacts of people in LA, because you can't rely on social media. Social media is not always going to show the people in LA that you need to book. You know what I'm saying? Like I need the people in LA to see that I'm doing a show with Shannon. Instagram ain't always going to show them that. They're going to make you pay for that. You know, but
So
go ahead.
How you feel about the email list versus the Superphone?
I think you got to do both.
Would you say try to get Superphone?
Yeah, I think you got to do. I think you got to do both. I don't think it's you know, there's a website I would sign up for, OmniSend. That's what I think I'm going to transfer everything over. OmniSend. OmniSend does both emails. I almost said females. Emails and phone numbers, and you can connect them. And then you could text people. And I don't know if it separates them the way Superphone does, but Superphone separates them by state, and they separate them by you could add hashtags in. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But even that, like, just because they sign up for a Superphone, that doesn't mean they're going to come to a show. Like, you still got to do something to get them to come out. There has to be some type of incentive. Another thing is there's the Instagram group chat feature that you could do for specific cities. Like, everybody in LA join this group chat. You could have up to 33 people in it. I'm trying to reach all my people in LA because I'm thinking about doing a show in LA, right? So you could create multiple groups inside of the Instagram chats. Like, it's a new feature on Instagram. If you go to your stories, you'll see like let me see if I can pull it up. So that's another way to do hold on real quick. Let me show you guys.
Yeah, I've been building the email list.
So look, I don't know if you guys could see this, but there's a new little feature right here called chat. Right? And you could say name the chat and let people from LA jump in the chat and just call chat. Right, in Instagram. So that's another way. So you got like it's like they say somebody has to get there has to be contact 7 times before somebody makes a decision, right? So like you got to hit them with the super phone, hit them with the email, hit them with the DM, like hit them with the group chat on Instagram. Like you got to hit them multiple times for them to say, all right, cool, like I'm gonna come out. Unless you're just like a rock star. You know what I'm saying? But we're not talking rock stars. Like we're not talking cats that got clout and stuff. We're talking about like building a business, right? Slowly building a business, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. No, it's real helpful. I actually got to bounce. I'm sorry just to get my questions in dip, but this is real helpful. Thank y'all so much for letting me in this chat too. So
All right,
I'll be
LJ,
looking
appreciate
back
you, brother. All right, let's switch gears. What questions you guys want to hop in? Conscience, Shannon, Seti, I see you in here.
I got a dinner date with wifey tonight, and I know I asked a lot of questions, but can you go over the single rollout?
Yes. Okay, so let me go back to your question. Okay. My question is, you told me wait 5 weeks for proper marketing campaigns for my single. On a tight budget, what should that 5-week period look like? I have a system right now, but I wanted to see if there's any holes in it. Okay, so 5 weeks, primarily for 5 weeks. I think Spotify asks for 4 to 5 weeks. So one, you just want to make Spotify happy, right?
Yeah.
You want optimal placement on playlists. You don't want to just like shoot from the hip and be like, put my song on a playlist, right? So one, I think they want that. So they probably want that for a reason, because they want you to drive traffic to the pre-save campaign, right? So here are some ideas, right? Here are some ideas we are going to implement for Paul's next single. Paul Russell, my artist, has a single coming out called Julio Jones. He just laid the second verse for us, super dope. We've tested it live at shows. So we're going to finish the record. Boom, we're going to get it uploaded. Here are some things we are going to explore with. One, obviously submit it to the playlist inside of Spotify. Two, we're going to reach out to our influencer relationships, right? To our influencer folks. So, hey, guys, we have this record coming out in 4 or 5 weeks. Could you use some music for your vlog? Could you use some music for whatever? Could you shout this out? Could you, right? So we have a list of everybody we know that's semi-popping, and we're going to hit all of them up personally and ask them for their help, you know what I mean, in whatever way they see fit. So, boom, influencers, right? So, like, do you know anyone that's popping on TikTok right now? Because that's really a huge open space, right? Do you know anyone that needs a song at the end of one of their vlogs, right? Or whatever, right? And can you time that out for 4 or 5 weeks out, right? So for me, this is going to look like me circling back around with the homie D-Rock, who works with Gary V. Hey, man, you got any vlogs that you're going to be editing that you could drop this record in, because we really need some push on this, right? And D-Rock, if I ask him that far in advance, usually he'll drop it in. That's a great look for me. Now Paul is associated with Gary V. That's a huge brand. And we will actually get people to check out stuff. Seti, did you just raise your hand? I didn't even know you could use that feature. That's amazing. Let me finish my thought, and then I'm gonna come right to you. So boom, get it to Spotify. 2, get it to influencers. 3, push the pre-save campaign. The pre-save campaign is hugely important because not only does it pre-save the song in people's playlists, it also makes people automatically follow you on Spotify. Getting your Spotify followers is super duper important, right? So getting it in people's playlists, getting it on those different, getting your numbers up on Spotify is important. That can be as simple as I'm gonna go do a photo shoot, and I'm gonna shoot a bunch of photos, and I'm going to have 9 photos or 12 photos for an Instagram grid, and they're all going to softly remind people that there's a single coming out and they need to go hit the link in your bio, right? So pre-save campaign, huge. Another one, if you got a little bit of money, hit up Chad Horton. See if Rapzilla could help. How can Rapzilla help? In a variety of ways. Maybe they can debut it on their joint. Maybe you can use their, there's like a contest feature. This is what we did with Indie Jones 3, and I'm going to do it way more often. Hey, guys, every time you do one of these 10 things, you get entered into a raffle to win a pair of AirPods. So every time you go pre-save the album, you subscribe to my YouTube, you follow me on Instagram, whatever, you get entered into a raffle, and we're giving away some AirPods with an Indie Jones merch pack, right? So if you have the money and you're like, yo, I really feel comfortable about this single, this is going to go, use someone else's platform, do a contest, partner with them, And you'd have to pay them a little bit to help you promote it and to use that service. But that's another feature if you have a budget. Then at that point, right? It's like people love contests. Look at some of the biggest artists. Look at Lecrae, look at Andy. They're always giving away Jordans. They're always giving away something, even if it's as simple as tag 10 of your friends below. We're gonna randomly select this, or they're actually using an app that says hit this, this, and this, and this, and you pre-save the album and go subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify, right? So that's a great feature. We just recently made a list of all this. So those are the 4 or 5 things that I'm thinking of off the top. And just not overlooking that person to person. Hey man, there's a homie at church. Hey man, what's up, bro? How you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. How you been? How's music? Music's good. Hey, let me see your phone. Literally, this is me. Let me see your phone. Open up. Hey man, I just pre-saved this on your Spotify. You want to pre-order it for me too? Can you spend $1 pre-order on iTunes for me? Yeah, here. Put in your, like, literally, this is what I do till this day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then the thing is, that's work, right? People don't want to put in the work, but you got to do it. You got to do it. So everybody I know that I'm in proximity with, I'm pulling out their phones. I'm putting it in, giving it back, I do the pre-order thing mainly on albums. Like I really push my friends to pre-order the albums on iTunes. I just pre-save on Apple Music, Spotify.
Twitch has been really powerful for me. I've been submitting to all the highest viewed streamers and getting reaction videos. So I've got some pretty hilarious reaction videos to the auto single that awesome. I'm going to start circuiting on YouTube and Instagram stories.
Dope. You're doing it,
That's
bro.
been helpful.
Seti, did you mean to raise your hand?
Yeah, I did.
Chime in.
Am I really echoey?
Nope.
All right, cool. So I actually had an influencer. He was one of my friends. He's like a bodybuilder. He had like 100K followers or whatever, and he did my music. I released a song called Parachute. He had my song behind, under the video or whatever. And it actually didn't work that well for me. And what I realized is like people aren't going to his content necessarily for music. So I just wanted your thoughts on that. It just didn't go particularly well for me. And I realized maybe that wasn't the right person.
Did you pay for it?
So I paid for one that he did. And then the other one he just offered for free because he likes my music.
Well, that's cool. That's a great point. This is going to sound terrible. I don't really pay for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm giving you dope music to use in your vlog that you would have to pay for anyway. I'm not going to pay you to play my music unless I have a record that I think would like work well on the No Jumper stream, right? Like kind of like that more ratchet SoundCloud rap audience. If I have a record that I think would work well there, then that might be something I would do is like pay $100 to let Adam 22 from No Jumper react to a video, you know what I mean, live, and then take that content and scale it, and now I look like I'm more popping because Adam 22 reacted to my song. He said he liked it. I'm gonna screenshot that. I'm gonna put it everywhere, right? It's tricky because unless somebody's a music curator, right? If somebody's just a bodybuilder, like they're not. Yeah, you're right. They're not there for that. But if it's a smash record.
It got 5-6 people to mess with me, but it just wasn't as big, because I could tell it's like not even people, they didn't even engage with it. Like my listeners didn't grow. So it's not like they didn't like the song. They didn't engage with it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think you got to work with people that are maybe a little cooler. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little like, no, I mean, I'm just being honest, right? Like Gary Vee has a degree of cool. People don't necessarily go to his channel to discover music, but he's like he's the badass.
He put me on the low key.
He puts a lot of people on, and so I think you have to be cognitive of who this person is and what their reach is, right? So I got a bunch of buddies that are like bodybuilders, you know what I'm saying, and whatever, but like I'm not paying them to put my song on their vlog. Like I'm just not, you know what I'm saying? And maybe
it's really just the follower count,
Yeah, and that's the that's the whole nother like.
And he gets engagement too. So.
It's the Ponzi scheme of influencers, right? Like just because people are influencers and they have numbers, it doesn't mean that that's going to convert to value for you. You know what I mean? Unless they're actually operating in the niche that you're now. You pay True God $50 or whoever
90.
90 David Lovick or whoever to play your record at one of their videos at the beginning, or track stars or whatever, that's more in line with your niche and your demographic, so that's going to be more likely to show some love. One of the things I'm getting into, and I'm just working through this, is I'm taking all of our songs that I know worked, right? So this is another thing, like we don't have to just throw money at random crap. Like, you don't have to just throw money at a song and you're not sure if it's going to work. I'm going to be taking records from the Via Text album that came out almost a year ago. So I uploaded the Friends music video, and I'm about to upload the Via Text music video, and I'm going to run 2 or 3 separate ads of on Facebook and on Instagram to kind of see if I can get those records to pop in different demographics, because I know that they already popped organically and through influencers, through MusicBed, and just through our own monthly listeners, right? So like a record like Via Text, I started putting it at the tail end of all my interviews, right? The last couple of interviews come out, my song with Paul Russell, Via Text, comes out. When I dropped that music video initially, it didn't do very well because of the girl who was rapping, like her shirt was see-through, and I like overlooked that you can kind of see her, you know, her cleavage. And so like we got a lot of backlash from some of our core because of that video, but I'm going to put it on Facebook and try to completely go after a different audience, a non-Christian hip hop audience, and see if I can potentially get that song to pop, because I know the analytics are there from MusicBed and from everything else, right? And so sometimes you kind of just, you could also drop a record on the back end and see, like, if you drop 10 records and one record does 10 times more than other ones, maybe then you go back, circle back around, shoot a music video, do a remix, run some Facebook ads, and work it that way.
I think another thing too, a key thing that you mentioned that I think people should like really write down is, I don't think artists do enough split testing.
Yeah.
So like, for when you said you got your song on a dude with 100K followers, that might not work in front of his audience, but just capture it and get another influencer that's in the hip hop space to recircuit that piece of media. So like in the past, when I work with a lot of influencers in Arizona, and like I landed a single on Godly Gains. They're a clothing bodybuilding company. And when that didn't perform to a certain degree, I just copied the video to strip the media, and then asked another influencer in the hip hop space, hey, would you make this as a post on your Instagram and say, hey, my homie Conscience got featured in a bodybuilding video. And since he's now showing it to his hip hop audience, they react to it because they're hip hop fans. So I think recycling that content in front of as many audiences as possible, that's the same content as split testing with paid ads. And I found that to be very helpful.
I love it. NATO has had his hand up for a while. I don't know why his camera and his microphone are off. I don't know if you wanted to hop in, NATO.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Hey, what's up? Sorry, I'm trying to make lunch for tomorrow.
All good. It's all good.
So my question I was actually going to ask is, because you were saying the content thing, I was going to ask if you recommend doing paid things with that, and then you kind of talked about that. So that's all I was going to ask.
Oh, we answered it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think the paid things could work if you just you have to know that audience, right? Like, again, like the No Jumper, that's a very clear, specific example of like Adam22, SoundCloud rapper. You pay $100, you can be on his live stream. Who's really listening to that live stream? Are you actually gonna win those fans over? Again, if you're a Christian rapper making Christian rap music, don't pay $100 to be on Adam22's. You know what I'm saying? Like Adam22, No Jumper, unless you're on some like, this is ministry and I'm looking to just kind of preach in this element, right? But unless you have a record that's gonna do well, I probably wouldn't spend my money there. All right, Conscious about to take off. You guys got any other questions before we wrap it up? Sean, I know you've been in the stream for a while.
No, I had a question.
Answered a bunch of the questions I did have. So.
Okay. Who else? Jay Shannon.
Yeah.
Like salmon.
Well, it was San in like just Canon. Take the C out and that S.
Aha.
Yeah. So in terms of like starting a label, That's one of my aspirations. I know it's further along the picture because I'm just starting out as an artist or whatever. But like, what are some practical steps at building like a record label? In terms of contracts, looking for artists, just everything, like a crash course, I guess.
Yeah, the only reason I ever did label stuff, bro, is because I had artists first, right? So like, I'm a big like supply and demand guy. So like, if there's a demand for you to have a label, then do it, But I think for me, I had art. I've always had people around me that rapped, and I didn't want to be in groups with them, so I helped them put out music, and then that slowly metamorphosized over the years. So I think foundationally, like, is there a demand? Is there people around you that are good enough to put out music that need your help, right? That would be the first question I would ask. The second question I would ask is, do you have resources, skills, and relationships that you've developed that you could scale to help somebody else and cut that process in half for them, right? So like, because I've always shot music videos, I've always been early and had relationships with music video guys. So I could always get great rates. I could always get quality stuff done. Two, I have relationships with all the websites. I have relationships with all the blogs. That was important at the time, right? I have relationships with other artists. I could put any of my artists in a room with just about anybody in CHH, right? That's valuable, right? So I had those relationships. So that's important from a cosign standpoint, from just taking an Instagram photo with somebody, building credibility. So I would ask yourself those questions first, like. And then the last question is like, do you have the personality and the grind and the wherewithal to deal with more creative people? Do you have that? It's not necessarily about money. Money helps, but I've literally seen millionaires throw millions or hundreds of thousands at artists that are just never taken off. You know what I'm saying? I've seen this happen over and over again. So it's not so much about the money as it is about, like, are you strategic? Can you get the most out of somebody based on their talent? Can you take their talent to another level? Can you connect them with the right people? Can you leverage your friendships and relationships to help them get to whatever it is they need to get to, whether that's better Instagram photos, better music videos, better mixing, right? And do you have an audience? One of the things I have now is I have an audience. Like, I have an audience that I could plug a new artist into that virtually within a couple months, I can grow them from 0 to 5,000 followers, right? I know that I have that. So like Paul Russell grew from 0 to 5,000 followers pretty quick, John Keith, he grew probably about the same. Like, he grew from like 2,000 to 7,000. Then he went on tour with me. And after he went on tour with me, he grew like another like 3,000, got cracked 10K, And so like, do you have an audience and do you have a way to place artists so they'll be visible? Meaning that not every John Keith fan is a Ruslan fan, but I've leveraged the Ruslan brand, the Ruslan relationships, the Ruslan finesse to put John Keith in front of as many people as possible that would potentially be his fans, that don't have to be my fans, right? So those are the questions that I would be asking. I think the other stuff is important. The infrastructure, the systems, all that stuff is important. But if you don't have a fan base, if you don't have artists who need your fan base, if you don't have relationships to get people connected and get people to the next level, it doesn't really matter how much money you have and how many, all that stuff doesn't really matter if you don't have those foundational things. And so having artists sign to you is a very tricky thing. My agreements with all my artists is very simple. It's a 50-50 agreement. I front all the money. I front all the resources, whatever they need. I pay myself back first, and then we just split the profits 50-50. It's very simple. It's very clean. And I actually do it all through DistroKid and MusicBed, so I don't like handling money. I don't like touching other people's money. You know what I'm saying? Because it just creates, I'm not an accountant. I'm not trying to have a separate sheet of all this kind of stuff. Like I do a basic P&L loss sheet of the pre-orders from the website. But even that, like I get behind on that kind of stuff because I'm not an accountant, right? So I have to create systems like using DistroKid or STEM or MusicBed so people can be paid directly, and just keeping stuff like super duper clean, so I don't have to overthink it,
It's dope. Dope. A lot of stuff to think about.
Yeah. I think it's that's, and you got to have the right personality, man. You got to have a personality that knows how to deal with artists and knows how to deal with creators. Because here's the deal, like you signing an artist or you going and launching your own Twitch page or launching your own YouTube page, you got to count the cost on that, right? Because you could potentially be building a whole separate business. You could potentially be building a T-shirt line that could turn into another six-figure stream of income for you, but instead you're pouring yourself into another artist. You have to count the opportunity cost. You guys know what opportunity cost is, right? Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Opportunity cost is I could change my own oil myself and spend 3 hours doing it, or I could pay somebody $30 an hour to change my oil. I don't change my oil, right? And some people are like, you're a man. You should change your oil because men do men things and we work on cars. And I'm like, no, that's stupid. My time is worth more than $10 an hour and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm going to go pay somebody that all they do is change oil all day and let them change my oil for $30 an hour instead of me spending 3 hours doing it and fumbling through it. Same thing with anything else, right? Same thing with the money I'm losing by the time I'm giving up. That's what opportunity cost is. So you, Jay, if you're pouring yourself into an artist, that is time and attention and headspace and capacity you're losing that you could be pouring into your own clothing brand, your own YouTube page, your own Twitch, your own thing that maybe isn't you being a better artist, but just another revenue stream, right? So that you got to count that cost. Is this person, did they have the character, did they have the ethics, did they have the consistency, did they have the perseverance to be with you, to make you back the money that you could have spent building a clothing line on the side that could potentially generate six figures for you?
Yeah. Is it worth the investment?
Is it worth the investment, not just financially, but from a time standpoint?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I guess because I think I did an interview with somebody. It might have been Jason from Rapzilla, I think his own personal podcast. I think he asked you the same question. Like I think you answered like, you have a heart for like the discipleship. That's kind of like my heart too. Granted, I haven't done anything in the game yet, but I feel like that's one of my burdens to, kind of, just help artists and just, equip them, in the music industry. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, but you could do an online book or a web series and do that. You don't have to sign an artist.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Every artist that I've ever worked with they've literally just kind of fell in my lap. Like it's just like, oh, whoa, like this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nobody that anybody that I've ever seeked out that it hasn't worked out, and I'm glad it hasn't worked out. And I like in hindsight, like, whoa, I dodged a bullet. That would have been all bad. You know what I'm saying? That would have been all bad. And so everybody has always been like, oh, this makes too much sense. This person is here and they need help, and I could help them, and I could maybe make a little bit of money off of them. You know what I'm saying? Long term. Yeah.
Right. So it's never a thing where like you went to a concert like, hey, let me look out for some dope artists. Like
no, absolutely.
God just kind of like brought,
No, they're usually just homies.
Yeah.
They're usually just homies.
Right.
You know. So, word. Anybody else got any questions before we wrap up?
I had one. Go ahead.
Who's that?
That's Philip. It's Philip. I ain't got my screen on because I'm driving. I don't want to get pulled over.
Oh, good man. You're responsible. What's up?
A little bit. So one, I just wanted to say thank you because we're working on the live album right now. I've already spoken to Iman, and so that's kind of the next phase of what's going on right now. But as I'm working on that, just still kind of working on some of the funding of it. And I have a couple different ideas and things going on for that. But I actually had somebody reach out to me and just like bless me with like $300 for the project. And like I was thinking to myself, man, there's probably some other people who would want to do something like that. I was wondering if you have any experience with like reaching out to people like to intentionally sponsor a project before. Not so much crowdfunding, but it like outside of what we're already doing with other stuff, looking into specifically like reaching out, hey, would you be willing to donate $200, $500 for this project, somebody who you think has the bag to do that, and what that's been for you, or if that's kind of a waste of time.
Philip, that's a great question. I have never done that. Yeah, I've never done that. We did an Indiegogo. That was just a clean way and a system that just worked for us, And so we ended up raising like $9,000 on Indiegogo in 2011 for a breaks record, for the Never Arrive breaks record, which was a lot of money at that time. Like $9,000 was like, wow, I can't believe we raised $9,000. I would encourage you to do like an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter, and then personally ask the people to go donate there in exchange for perks. I think when you get into donations, it just gets a little hairy because it can kind of feel like charity, And like, if I'm going to give to a charity, I'm going to give to a charity. I'm probably not going to give to a band. And you know what I mean? I think that's the part where it just gets a little hairy. And so I think there has to be some type of incentive or something like that, Yeah. Yo, T, did you get my text?
No.
You going to eat them fruit snacks?
Oh, that's you.
Hey. T. Ross the Giant's going to give me his fruit snacks. T, you want to come say hi to the people real quick?
Yeah.
Let's go.
What up, though?
Your shirt open? You can show me a little chest here. T. Ross the Giant, ladies and gentlemen.
You're...
Oh, phone call.
Zoom call. We're
what's
live on
up?
YouTube too.
Oh, we got.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna grab those.
We got everybody.
How are you?
This is my sister.
Have we met? No, we haven't. At the hospital.
Yes.
I'm Ruslan.
Macy.
Good to see you. Man, why you really put the shirt all the way out? I like it.
All right, T.
Sorry guys, this is the cheat meal. I took Tanner's. T-Ross, excuse me, not Tanner. T-Ross always got the snacks, like the best snacks. And yeah. Anyway, Philip, does that answer your question, bro?
Mostly. I kind of have a follow up in light of what your answer. So my thing is, what my struggle is like right now, my reach is not very broad. As far as what I like, how I'm already, because my plan is already to personally reach out to mad people. Like, yo, can you pay for the highest, ticket package that we offer? Just gonna have the T-shirt and everything. You know what I'm saying? To kind of get that part for the funding. So my fear is like, I don't know how to make that work with a crowdfunding campaign as well, because it kind of feels like I'm dipping in the same market. Part of the reason why I'm doing the project in the first place is because I don't have a broad reach and I need more people to know what I'm doing. So I'm not sure how to make that work in a way where I'm coming up the on now a little bit, my sideways.
Hey, there you are.
I mean, we out here a little bit.
Philip, how much money do you need?
So my original goal was like 2,700, 3,000. Right now, I'm probably going to end up being in the range of around 5 because of engineering. Like my connects with engineering, which were much less expensive, aren't available. So now I'm gonna. And the other thing is too, I had to get good sound, and my church in the place that we're gonna record doesn't have good sound, so I have to bring sound out. So I'm speaking to a production company right now, which is gonna try to do their best to cut me a deal because I know him through another church connect. But that's part of it, and then just paying the band pennies. You know what I'm saying? And then getting it done. And we're still, over 3, 4, 5 probably is where we're gonna end up.
So my question is why? Like I just did the math on that. You need $3,000. I divided 3,000 by $20. That's 250. So can you get 250 people to buy something?
Well, I think I can get a decent amount of people. I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. This part of it is like the sales aspect of it, which I'm in sales right now. I've never really pushed the sales aspect of me in music. But it's like you got the cost to get the shirt made too. So it's like even if you sell 20 shirts, if you spent $7 on a shirt, you know what I'm saying? You still got to sell more to make that. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at.
So I can help you make shirts at a $20 net profit. Like get you set up to do that. That's what my class is going to be about, that I'm going to do the ebook about. You know what I'm saying? That's what Bartholomew Jones is doing as well. So at a $20 net profit, can you sell 250 shirts? Do you know 250 people that if you hit them up and say, instead of saying, give me a donation to make this record, can you buy 2 shirts from me so I can make this record? You see how much cleaner that sounds? You see how much like more independent that sounds, more entrepreneurial that sounds when you're like, yo, I need your help. I really want to make this record. I'm not asking you for a donation. I'm asking you to give me $20 or buy a shirt off of me for 20 or whatever. A shirt is just the easiest thing that people like buying shirts, right? And I think you can make that $5,000. You're muted. You muted, Bo. He's talking. There you go.
My bad.
You're good.
I definitely have some ways I've been working to get things done with less, upfront capital and things like that, which has been really good because that's been like the big, like, okay, if we know where we can get X amount of dollars from upfront, even though we don't have it yet, where do we get it? Whatever we do, on that aspect of it. And it's risk. It's just all risk, but it's like trying to be smart. I have a dude right now who's like, I've already got him lined up to do the graphic for the shirts. He does marketing for Elevation, so his graphic skill is crazy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm blessed in that aspect, but it's like I'm trying not to overthink and underprepare, and I really, really want a lot of that about the way, so I can just focus on the music. So it's like that's kind of what this week is about, is knocking out that stuff. So the next month and a half I have up until the recording will be just focused on getting the music super tight. So yeah, and the project won't be out until next year, so that release stuff is other conversation for later, but this is more like getting it done right now. So
yeah. So to answer your question, I have never just went to people and asked for money to do music. I think when I've thought about it or I've looked into it, I've just always felt weird about it personally, But I have gone to people and raised enormous amounts of money doing an Indiegogo or selling tickets. So that's my answer is like, you could, and maybe because you do worship music, maybe it can be more of like a charitable thing. It feel that way. Maybe it's a different niche, but like, bro, my friends and family aren't giving me $500 to do a rap record. You know what I'm saying? They're just not. Like, it's not ministry to them. It's not a charity to them. You know what I'm saying? They don't care that much. Now, if it looks like I'm popping, that's a little different maybe. You know what I'm saying? And I also just don't like the idea of strings attached. You know what I'm saying? And just like feeling like I owe somebody something. I'd rather sell them something at a profit, take that profit, pour it back into the music. I think you could do that. I feel you on you want to just focus on the music, like that. Yeah, like I get it, bro. And I know that could be tough, you know what I'm saying? Especially as an independent artist. But I think at this point, you either self-fund it or if you know rich people, like maybe you have a homie, I don't know, bro. Like I have homies right now that are multimillionaires, right? Right now, like that I talk to regularly. I'm still not asking them for $5,000. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they would even give me $5,000, but I just wouldn't ask. You know what I'm saying? I just would feel weird asking personally. But I know that I can get them to buy a handful of tickets for the show. I know that I can get them to buy a couple $100 worth of merchandise. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody does want to give, then cool, man. Like I'm not opposed to that, but like I just feel weird about it personally. Maybe because you're making worship music, there's a ministry component to it. It's a little different. But I just wouldn't do that. I would much rather you learn to make your own merch, to sell your own merch, and to ask people to support you. That skill, those skills right there, are going to carry you as an entrepreneur a lot longer than just being a creative and saying, I just want to focus on the music. Yeah, bro, me too. I wish I didn't have to worry about Patreon and sync licenses and doing shows and paying bills. I wish I could just stay in the studio all day, make beats on my MPD and rap and go and record it at Iman's house, Iman's studio where I didn't have to think about engineering myself. I wish I could do that. I don't have that luxury. You know what I'm saying? I still have to push people. Yo, we got Patreon. Sign up for Patreon. Yo, go pre-order the album. Yo, we got, you know what I'm saying? Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Like, I still have to do that. I think you developing that muscle and that discipline early on is going to go super far. And actually bless you in the long term as an entrepreneur, even though it doesn't feel like it. You feel like you're being stifled. You feel like your attention is divided. You have to work a job still. You have all these other responsibilities. You're a husband. You're a father. You got all these other things. I feel you, bro. But you pushing through and doing stuff that's uncomfortable, in my opinion, this is my opinion, by the way, I think is going to do better for you in the long term. Or maybe you find an investor and maybe somebody invested and floats it, but now an investor is going to want their money back. And then an investor is going to want some of whatever you make for the long term of the project, right? That gets a little hairy. You know what I'm saying? I know of a guy that I actually mentioned you to, Philip, when I was in a city. I don't want to give away who it is, but I was just like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? He invested in a lot of stuff that we're familiar with, and he, in some of it, he's made his money back, and some of it he's been stiffed on. And I was just like, hey, like, there's this guy Philip, like, he's super dope, but you know, it's not just rap music. He kind of needs some resources. And he was like, man, that's dope. He checked you out, da da da. But that person like that is gonna want their money back, and like, you take $5,000 from someone like that, like, can you give that $5,000 back? You know what I'm saying? Is that coming back? And do you want to give up 20, 30, 40% of the revenue after you pay them back, right? Or go sell 250 t-shirts. If I'm you, I'm selling 250 t-shirts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm making a list of every single person I know from my church family, every single family member, literally making a physical list. And I'm starting and I'm asking them one by one, can you support me in this way? I need you to buy 2 t-shirts, 3 t-shirts, whatever. They're $20. Boom. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would do. And I think that's better. It's a cleaner business model.
If I could add something to that.
Go ahead, Nato.
So I went to school originally to be a pastor. I was in seminary. And even doing something like that, because somebody told me, oh, you should do it like a missionary and try to raise this money to pay school, whatever. And even doing that was not very successful. And I've also done missionary work, and it's really freaking hard to get people to want to jump in on that. Yep. But if you can, like you're saying, add something and give back to them, they're probably more likely. Because when I started selling t-shirts to raise money to be a missionary, I ended up selling 1,000 t-shirts.
Woo! Imagine if you sold 1,000 t-shirts, Philip. Imagine how many premium condenser microphones you can get. Imagine how much acoustical treatment and how much you could pay your band members.
Such a premium condenser microphones.
Hilarious.
But that is a point, though, and I can rock with that. I definitely, I think what I have brings value. It's for me kind of getting out of my own head in this, and this part of this whole aspect is like, this is me my whole last 2 years has been me legitimizing myself in the music business, as opposed to just being somebody who does music. And that's been my thing. It's not, that's something that I have to have in my own head, see myself as a business and as a brand. And like, that's been, what I'm doing. Like, I'm at a point where I'm going to be spending certain kinds of money, and I'm tired of it coming out of my personal funds. I have somebody who has experience in business, startups and things like that. We just incorporated just for my own stuff, so that things I do will be done legitimately. But at the same time, it's like just being wise and making the right steps and kind of doing the right thing at right times is kind of what I'm on right now, and that's been why I've been off the Zoom calls. I've been doing a lot of this stuff, on the side, and I just want to see it done well, man. That's my thing. Like, I just want the joint to be done well. I need my investment to come back the right way, and I think what you're bringing up is a good point. I'm just struggling with, I guess, sometimes widening what I would think, as far as who I would reach out to. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to waste calls. I don't want to waste time and things of that nature. And it's kind of like, all right, let's do this the right way. Even like with like Facebook ads. Facebook ads have been like or digital ads, which everybody tells me to do, for me has not really been. I need to kind of learn maybe my targeting better. I don't know, but I've done them in very small areas, kind of nearby where I'm at, and it hasn't really been that much of a, like, I don't feel like I'm getting organic reach off of it. I'm just getting like view counts. So I'm still trying to kind of figure that out and like making it more appealing and stuff like that. And I think from part of it is going to be increasing the quality of the music I put out, which is part of it. But then we'll see from there, kind of deal. So
yeah. Do me a favor and start by just making that list. Yeah. Jay, did you have a question? I see I didn't even know this whole hand up feature. This is crazy.
Yeah, so I know like you've alluded to your time like in your interactions with Interscope. I know that was around like the Dream Junkies time.
Yeah.
Could you like kind of like, because I think it'd be beneficial for us, you know, as we progress in our careers. I'm pretty sure we'll be approached by labels. So what was that like? How did you handle it? And ultimately, what was the aftermath? I know John ended up signing, but like, how did the whole thing come about?
Yeah, well, one, I learned that it confirmed to me that there was no Illuminati. So there's definitely not an Illuminati out there. Yeah, I basically, man, you know, all these major labels have people who sit and they have these machines that are looking for spikes in the algorithm. And if you are doing numbers, if you're charting on iTunes, if you have a single that's going crazy on Spotify, if you're viral on YouTube, the labels are watching. They're paying attention. You know what I'm saying? If you're selling Billboard numbers, they're paying attention. And so yeah, I think most people are thirsty and they want to sign a deal. That's the worst time to sign a deal is when you want to sign a deal. The best time to sign a deal is when you don't need to sign a deal because then you have all the leverage in the world and you can do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Whoever has the least to lose in a negotiation wins the negotiation. You know what I'm saying? And so, so I think just know that they're watching. It's in their best interest, but then also know for them it's just a numbers game. It came out last year that they signed 700 people to all the major labels. 700 artists got signed last year. 700. Sheesh. There's only 4 major labels, right? There's only 4 like corporations. It's Universal. No, I think there's 3. It's Universal.
3.
Yeah, it's Universal. There's Sony and there's Warner, right? And everything is a subsidiary of those. So, that's a lot of artists, bro. That means they're signing 200 artists a year. How many artists do you think break every year? You see what I'm saying? Like the artists that tend to break are the artists that already popped off on social media and then a label came alongside and got them to the next level, like a Lil Nas X or fill in the blank, right? So so know that they're looking for spikes. They're paying attention. And then 2, the people at the label, they're good. They're, for the most part, like, they're cool people. Like, they're not bad people. They're not trying to, like, they legitimately think it's in your best interest to work with them. So I would say, like, yeah, it's not like they're these vicious, horrible people. They're friendly people. They're, yeah, but they see a potential. They see a need. For us, it was very practical. Like, Lecrae and those guys had really taken off, you know what I mean? And this is around the time Lecrae did, what was that album? Anomaly. He did Anomaly and he did the other record back to back, and he had 2 like #1 records back to back. You know, so they were paying attention to the Christian hip hop space and they wanted to get in on that space. You know what I'm saying? And so we were talking to Atlantic. Sony flew us out for a meeting at RCA Inspiration, but we knew we didn't want to do that. That's the label that like D1 was signed to, and who else? And then Universal, Interscope, and so yeah, I mean, the process from when we made contact to when the paperwork got signed was like a 9-month process, like a 9-10 month process. You know what I'm saying? And in that process, we had to keep building leverage, and I think it finally solidified things in terms of like getting the deal, because how it works is they reach out, you talk, you go to the studio, you hang out, you get to know them, they let you cut some records. So all those Dream Junkies records were cut, and not all of them, but most of them were cut between Atlantic and Interscope, those 2 studios. You know what I mean? So we were doing records at the big studios, and then we would come back and do some of our own home studio stuff. And so in that process, we're filling them out, they're filling us out. And the deal was for Gibbs, with the caveat that, like, if Gibbs blew up, then, you guys could have an imprint, or you guys could put out a Dream Junkies record or whatever, right? And so there's like you got to wait. And then, but what happened was we had put out the Dream Junkies record. The Dream Junkies record started doing really well. And, we were on like Carson Daly, and we were doing our own tour, and we were always moving. So then got them inspired because it was like, wow, you guys are doing everything yourself. This is great. You're touring, you're on TV, you're doing all these amazing things, and they're showing up to the shows and seeing it in person, right? They're seeing us do 1,500 people at the Oceanside Amphitheater, right? And so, yeah, man. And so, it's a process, bro. And to me, if it was up to me in hindsight, and even in real time, I was like, yo, like we should wait. We should put out another record. We should wait. We should put out another John record, and then like really get a crazy situation. Like get like the type of situation Russ has with Columbia, or the type of situation Nipsey had with Atlantic. You know what I'm saying? Where you own your masters. They're more like profit share splits, 50-50 splits, 60-40 splits, right? But that takes a lot of leverage. And so it just depends on what your goals are. If you want to be a megastar, you absolutely need a major label in this era. Unless you're just like genius, like, like Chance is an anomaly in that like his dad was the freaking campaign manager, a part of Obama's campaign. No one talks about that. It's like, well, like they just ran Chance's movement like a campaign. And yeah, you're going to have an advantage. You know what I'm saying? You're not starting from zero. You're starting from a little bit of money. I'm not saying Chance's dad was rich, but they definitely had money. They were middle class, and they knew how to organize and how to run things, And so that's what they did, and that's why that's that successful. But for the most part, if you want to be a megastar, at some point you're going to have to partner with the majors. That's how you saw guys like Russ get to the next level, guys like Nipsey Hussle get to the next level. Is they already had the momentum. But to get there, I mean, Nipsey was already selling thousands of records, already doing really, really well on his own. So he had all the leverage, right? You have all the leverage, and you could say, I want $5 million. Figure it out. You know what I'm saying? If they want you bad enough, they'll figure it out. So I think my thing with majors is like, it's all on what your goals are. Some people need them, some people don't. I would say what I'm doing right now is trying to build a media company. Like between what we're doing here, this is content. Between the live streams is content. My interviews is content. I'm trying to build a media company that I could plug artists into, and then have the funds to not need a major label or any label, and then partner with someone strategically without like needing money for anything, really. You know what I'm saying? I could promote it myself. I just need somebody to take it to the next level. That's what I'm trying to do now. And so I would say most people you have to make great music that's going to get recognized and be remarkable. And even if you do that, the deal is going to be trash initially. And then they're going to string you along for a year. And I just wouldn't operate. Like, I would make it so where, like, until you're already touring on your own, until you're already selling thousands of CDs, doing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of streams, I wouldn't even think about it. Like, I wouldn't even think about it. You know what I'm saying? And then at that point, they're still going to come in and disrespect you. They're still going to come in and offer you, like, hey, how about $20,000 and a 10% royalty rate? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just like, it's a numbers game, bro. They're going to sign 8 artists that all sound and look the same, and then maybe one of them will take off. And then the other 7 are just, they're collateral damage,
Right. Yeah. It's good that you said it, because I know, like, in today's climate, especially with, like, accounts like United Masters, like, oh, labels are evil. Like, they just want your soul and stuff like that. So it's good to hear that.
I don't know if they're evil. I definitely think that owning an artist is definitely ethically questionable. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so making somebody sign away publishing, owning an artist, owning somebody's master recordings, I think some of that stuff is a little questionable. It's more ethical. Like, financially, it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're popping and you're on United Masters is going to help get your stuff to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like they did it for Toby. There's another artist they just did it for. I forgot who, that signed to United Masters that like opted out of a major deal, stuck with United Masters. So United Masters will help get people to the next level if you're already popping, right? The issue is people think that signing a deal is a shortcut to getting popping. It's not. You got to get popping. Like, you got to put out remarkable music that resonates with people. That's where it starts. And then you got to figure out how to make it go viral. You know what I'm saying? And if you could do those two things, do you really need a label at that point? Well, yes, probably for the infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? But what you really need is a great booking agent, a great management, you know what I'm saying, and great distribution. You have those three things. What did Chance the Rapper have? What did Russ have? They had great booking agent, Kara Lewis, you know what I'm saying, CAA. They had great management, you know what I'm saying, and they had distribution, you know. Those three things is what you really need, you know.
Dope. What do you feel about probably the same thing, but like the Empire or stuff like that? Like, would those be a better alternative to a major label?
Yeah, I mean, I think
system
Empire is great, but Empire has 1,000 artists, you know. So like, what is going to make you a priority at Empire, right? United Masters is great, but what's going to make you a priority at United Masters is, are you popping? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you popping? Like, and so somebody in the comments question, like, how do I get popping? I don't know, man. You get popping by getting popping. Like, there's 25 different billion ways to get popping. You can have a viral YouTube music video. You can get somebody to get viral by putting their stuff on TikTok, your song on TikTok, and it taking off that way. Like, there's a bajillion different ways that people are getting attention. The proper question is, how do I get attention? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of different ways. Tekashi 6ix9ine got attention by being a rainbow hair colored kid with a bunch of bloods who were real street dudes, and he trolled everybody and he started a bunch of beefs, and then the entire thing imploded. That's one way. You know what I'm saying? You want to get popping? Go join a blood set. You know what I'm saying? Like, and troll and talk crazy to people. Like, that's a way, you know. Lil Nas X got something to pop on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? An influencer from TikTok reached out. He had one song. He knew it was a unique song. He kept working it. He kept making meme videos for Twitter. Kept working it. Kept making meme videos for Twitter. Boom! Somebody finally heard it. They threw it on. A TikTok video, and it helped catapult it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And then as it grew organically, then Columbia reached out already when it was already popping. You know what I mean? And so, you know, a big feature. You know. I mean, I don't know. You're friends with Drake, and you and Drake hang out, and Drake gives you a verse, and you put it on SoundCloud. Guess what? You know what I'm saying? Like, people are gonna check for the record because Drake's on it. But then, do you want to be on a record where you're getting eclipsed by Drake? You know what I mean? Probably not. You probably don't want to do that. You don't want to come out the gate that way. You know. It's just there's just so many different avenues. But the thing at the end of the day is you don't want to get popping before you have the grit and the ability to handle getting yourself to the next level. If you get popping too soon, like a Lil Nas X or Tekashi 6ix9ine, your song or your brand becomes bigger than you. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So think about how many artists we've cycled through. Think about it. Like, think about so who's the guy right now, right? Lil Nas X and Blueface. Blueface is kind of on his way out, right? 2018, it was Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? Before that, 2016, it was Designer. You know what I'm saying? Every year, you're going to have one or two of these artists that explode. They get super big. They peak. And then it's just, they just crash. You know? That's how you go viral, you know? That's how you get viral. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that's not necessarily the best way, but it's a way, you know? It's a way. He says it's like a penny stock. That's true. It's like a penny stock. That's good, Seti. Yeah, so I think you got to think through, like, what is the most efficient way. What I'm doing is I'm building a channel that's legitimately helping people, whether that's through interviews, whether that's through collaborating on interviews, doing stuff like this, doing Fan Love Fridays, that is helping people in some way, right? So I'll talk about fitness and mental health, but I'll also interview people that are interesting, have interesting conversations. I'll show how to disagree with people. I'm trying to add as much value to people as possible in a format that I'm comfortable with, and that attains the attention, and then drop a piece of my music in there and let people ask about it. You know what I'm saying? Drop a music video and let people ask about it. But I'm adding value in a way that's just simple and easy and clean for me to add value, having conversation, going deep with people so that they're not just here for whatever, that they're actually falling in love with me as a person. And then that is going to get leveraged to promoting whatever it is I need to promote, what other artists I need to promote. Is by like I sincerely want to help people. That's why I do this. Like I sincerely want to help people, and I'm creating the infrastructure, the revenue streams around it, whether that's merchandising, Patreon, so on and so forth. That's my method. I haven't seen anybody do that yet. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen anybody do that just yet. As an artist, I've seen like Adam22 has kind of done it with No Jumper, but that's more like he's more of a curator / podcaster, YouTuber who does merchandising. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really seen an artist do this. And so, yeah, man. So I think you know, it is about the music, but it's also about the music having a place in the marketplace. If the music is for everybody, the music's probably for nobody. You know, so you got to figure out who the music is for, and go all in on those things that make you unique. You know, like what are those things that make you unique? Like figure that out. It's tough. It's tough to have self-awareness. Like I think K9 is doing a great job with the stuff he's doing. It's cutting through because he's making stuff that is it's just different. It's distorted, it's loud, it's aggressive, it's gym music, right? So K9, his wife, they're making music that is gym music that's clean and positive. It's not overtly Christian all the time, but it is Christian. And so he's seeing the needle move relatively early. And K9, how long have you been doing music? Like seriously taking music?
I think it's been about 8 months now.
8 months. And how many followers are you at right now?
On Spotify?
Yeah. Well, just like Instagram, Spotify.
About 4,000 on Instagram, and I got like it was 1,300 monthly listeners. I went from like 100 to like 1,300 in like it was like in a matter of a month. So.
Yeah, because when you know what you're doing and you know that it's different and you can figure out the branding, you can get it to cut through pretty quick, you know. And you're good. You have to be good. K9, he's good. It's different. It works. You know what I mean? And it's consistently getting better. His branding's getting better. It's across the board. You know. You guys got any other questions before we wrap up?
To pull it back to talking about the secular music industry. I told you I went to that event yesterday with Bree K. Shout out to These Are the Sounds. Focus was there, and he's produced so many songs for like Busta Rhymes, J-Lo, like Beyonce, so many people, and he was still saying how certain aspects are unstructured and how you can do a lot of work and still not get what you want out of it. Like you not get what you put into it. So I was just sitting there thinking like, man, does CHH, how much does CHH, if at all, do they need the secular music industry? Like what you doing, like I see you on the wave, like I could see you not needing that based on what you're doing and the grind that you have and what you're putting in it. But I'm thinking for somebody like me, or somebody that wants to do PR or management, like where was somebody that's not an artist, that's not putting out songs on SoundCloud or Spotify or somewhere, like where will we get that experience? Or, you know, so I was just thinking to myself, like, okay, for somebody like me, do I still need the secular music industry? Do we have enough structure here within the CHH realm for me to get some training, get some mentorship, get to the next level without me just bumbling all over the place? Like I'm fine with it. I'm doing that, you know, but hey, if I could have some structure, I would love that. So yeah. I guess that was my question that I had asked for tonight.
Well, to answer your question, no, we don't need the secular music industry, right? We don't need them. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at how many people have stepped in without having to play by those rules, right? I mean, look at what's happening with NF. Like he completely snuck in there, and he's not an industry artist. He's an artist in the industry, right? Mm-hmm. There's a difference. So no, absolutely not. You don't need to be an industry connected person. None of that stuff ultimately, man. And a lot of that stuff to me is toxic. Like I get so exhausted being around that like weirdo, cool guy LA scene. Like, like I don't like LA for those reasons. Because it's just a lot of fluff and a lot of people trying to be cool and a lot of people looking for clout. I have no desires to be a part of that world like that. So no, you don't need it. And I think the need you're seeing is a need that you're building. Like you're fulfilling that, Shannon, and that like you see a need, so you're doing something about it, right? Oh, there's a void of people throwing events in LA, so now you're throwing events in LA. Like that's it right there. And then in that, yeah, talk to other people who've thrown events, figure out systems, ask questions, figure out how to sell tickets, figure out how to find venues, right? Leverage your relationships. Even like what me and you have been talking about, like, hey, check out this venue. It's cheaper. Check out this spot. It's a good location. Do this. Don't do this. Have your artist do this, right? Like, I think a lot of that stuff is you're already on your way and you're already doing it. So it's just going to take time. Like, it's just going to take time to scale it and figure out how do you monetize? Like I think a great model that the last kind of regime, if you will, that was throwing shows in LA was the Way brand. And what was smart about what they were doing is they were able to throw these huge shows and they would spend like exorbitant amounts of money. Like they would spend in like, I don't know, like 20 grand or 30 grand and bring out like Andy Mineo and Social Club. Right? And they would barely break even on the show. But the catch was they had a clothing line. And the clothing line would sell $5,000 of merch at that one event. And then the brand recognition for the clothing line, and it wasn't like they're doing denim jackets and custom fitted stuff. And you know what I'm saying? It was just t-shirts and hoodies, right? T-shirts and hoodies. And then they would do that kind of stuff. And then that became a way for their brand to expand, for them to make money, right? Is they were attaching their brand. So for you, Colony of Light, right? Like that can be an actual t-shirt brand. That could be what maybe you're going into the events and you're like, look, I just want to break even on this event. You tell the artist that up front. You're going to charge me a rate and we're going to break even on the event. You're going to get paid and I'm going to make my money back, but I'm not looking to make $1 million here off of shows. But you indirectly start doing your own merchandise, and that's where the profit becomes, because then people see the brand. Maybe they can't buy a t-shirt the night of, but then they go back home, they order it online, they follow you on Spotify. This is just an idea. I'm not saying you need to be a t-shirt person. I'm just saying that is an idea of how to make it profitable while at the same time scaling and throwing bigger and bigger shows. I don't think you need the secular industry. I don't think any of us need the secular industry. I think it's all in who are you trying to reach? How are you trying to do it? What is the impact you're looking to have? And a lot of this is going to find you. Like a lot of the right people are going to find you. They're going to hear about you. They're going to come to you. This is true, universally true for anything. Like, you want to have a booking agent, like a booking agent's going to come find you. You want to have a manager, they're going to come find you. You want like a great producer, great engineer, they're going to find you, right? It's not about trying to go out there and find and force things to happen. It's about doing great work. It's about being excellent. It's about working smart and working hard, knowing the need and the who you're servicing. And then from that, like you can see and where the people are coming from. I'll give you just a real practical example. Like, well, Paul Russell, everybody, is they're trying to figure out like, what am I doing? One of the things that Paul Russell is doing, one of the things that the Dream Junkies did, one of the things I like, the thing I can do is that we make Christian music that's cool enough and Christian enough for the Christian, but is cool enough to show their non-Christian friends and they not say it's cheesy. And it's actually progressive and new wave and cool, right? Like it's like you feel like I'm showing, like you feel like Paul Russell's music is like showing somebody some Shmino or some Solection, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's like different, like, oh, this is dope, it's different, it's fire, right? And so that is the need that we're meeting. And we are confident that if we're going to meet that need, the audience is going to find us. It doesn't have to be a Christian hip-hop audience. It doesn't have to be a secular audience. It doesn't really matter. We're doing something that's unique and that has a place in the marketplace. You know what I mean? There's a need for that. I don't think there's enough cool music. There's a handful of guys. I would say a guy like Andy, a guy like RG.
Derek Minor, I would put on there.
Yeah, I think you could say Derek Minor. Who else?
Yeah, I was at this event and I'm telling them what I do, and they're like, "What is that?" They didn't even know what Christian hip hop was. So I felt like I was promoting Christian hip hop at large, and I'm just like, "Wow, okay." Like, what are we missing? What do we need to do? So that's what I've been asking different artists as I build relationships with them. Like, what need do you see? What do we need to do as a community? Not just artists, but everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and I think so. A lot of times, like the problem that we're seeing is oftentimes the problem that God is calling us to solve, right? So you're seeing a problem in that, and God's giving you the resources and the force, the foresight to solve that problem. So yeah, I think you are. I think you are the solution, Shannon. Like you're literally it.
Okay.
So it's gonna take some time. Like a word that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I'm gonna look up this word for you guys. The word is called compound. Right? Compound. A thing that is composed of two or more elements, a mixture, made up consisting of two or more elements, right? Something that is consisting of two or more elements. And so if we look up the definition of like compound interest, right? Compound interest is when something compounds over time. Two or more elements are compounding on top of each other. And so therefore it's like a snowball effect, right? It grows faster and it takes off. So when I'm strength training, I go in and I'm trying to do compound lifts. I'm trying to do lifts that I'm working 2 or 3 muscle groups at the same time, right? I don't come in and just do a curl, right? This works one muscle, you know what I'm saying? But I would do like I would grab dumbbells, and I would go into a deadlift, pull up, and then go into a curl and maybe a shoulder press, right? So now I'm working 4 or 5 different muscle groups, right? Or a bench press or a squat. So there's like 4 different main lifts, right? It's the pull up, the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift. Those are 4 compound lifts. All of strength training should be based on those lifts. The thing about those lifts is you're getting more bang for your buck. So I'm doing 2 or 3 things at once, right? And then 2, the more I do them, the more my body chemistry compounds, and it becomes a snowball effect. And I get leaner, faster, stronger, quicker, over a faster time because it's compounding. The same idea is for investing. If the average person invests $100 a month into a mutual stock, growth mutual stock, in 30 years they'll be a millionaire because that $100 compounds, it grows. So your growth, Shannon, is going to compound. It feels like, I'm coming in, I don't know where to start. I could barely do a squat. And the squat is hard, and gosh, but I know I need to do this squat because I'm gonna get the most bang for my buck from this squat or from this deadlift. But there's people here that they just seem like they know what they're doing, and I don't really know what I'm doing. But those compound lifts are going to compound over time, and your growth is gonna snowball, and then you're gonna be way quicker, way faster, way stronger because you're doing the hard stuff. Most people go to the gym and you know what they want to do? They want to get on a freaking elliptical machine and do this goofy stuff for 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And not knowing that doesn't do anything. Or they want to come and do one bicep curl, But you're coming in and you're saying, no, I'm going to do the hard thing. I'm going to do the thing that's uncomfortable. I'm going to do the thing that I'm not familiar with. But I'm doing the thing that's going to get me the most bang for my buck. The thing that's going to really make me strong. A lot of people want to look like they're strong. They want big biceps and a big chest, but they don't want the frame to handle it. They don't want the core strength to, you know what I mean? And so right. I think you're doing it, and I think you just gotta keep at it and keep asking those questions and keep taking risks while being wise and just taking your time to do the things that are uncomfortable. But that's where the growth happens, right? The things that are uncomfortable is where the growth happens.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much. I love these things. I literally am looking forward to my Sundays to hang out with you guys. And if you guys got any other questions, feel free to hop on to the Patreon and ask any questions there. We got a ton of cool stuff that's about to drop on YouTube. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. And this will be up on YouTube if you want to go back and recap anything that we were doing. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good night.
All right, appreciate you.